All right, hey everyone, meteorologist Marissa Walzen here, Channel 7, WXYZ 7 in Detroit. Tracking a line of some showers and storms moving across the region this evening. Now, we do have one severe thunderstorm warning that is in the very northern part of our region, southern southern Sanilac County. But let's take a look at where that is. I'm going to switch the view here so you're able to see kind of just the map, and we'll zoom in where we have that yellow box. That is the severe thunderstorm warning up near now just to the south of Port Sanilac. So actually the area of the warning has been reduced in size, but right here we do have the potential to see some wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. Damaging wind gusts are possible. I'm mainly looking at, again, kind of this area where we have some of the stronger storms. So now just to the east, or excuse me, just to the west of Worth, moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So we're keeping an eye on that part of the storm. That's the only one that's under the severe thunderstorm warning as of right now. But we do have the potential to, again, see some of these other areas a bit stronger. So we'll travel a little farther to the south, Brockway down towards Musey, now just actually to the east of you. We're looking at some stronger storms here where we could have wind gusts near 40 miles per hour. So technically that's below the severe strength, but still could lead to a few down tree limbs and maybe some other kind of furniture blown around. To be prepared for that. Now, farther to the south, we also have this line that's moving. Now it's just the south of Pontiac, stretching back towards Superior, coming in towards Plymouth, Canton, Livonia right now. This line also has the potential to bring wind gusts near 40 miles per hour, and this line actually extends even farther to the south and west. So as you can see here, north of Ann Arbor and then down all the way towards Lenawee County, this is where we're looking at also more storms firing up. So keeping an eye, tracking these storms. The biggest threat are wind gust potentials near 40 miles per hour. Like I mentioned before, that is technically below severe thresholds, but still could do some damage, so be prepared for that. Also to note, we have the potential for some heavier downpours in these regions too. So that, of course, could lead to some quick flooding, but I don't expect it to last very long just because we are looking at these storms moving rather fast. So one of the stronger areas right now, really zoomed in there, south of South Lyon, north of Ann Arbor. So looking at impacts along US 23, eventually M14, though there is a portion of M14 that is closed, so keep that in mind. But you can see a heavier area through southern Northville, northern Plymouth right now, where you have the darker red color. That indicates just some heavier rain that is now falling in the region. I'm going to pause this radar so we're able to kind of see the storm itself. Farther to the north, also looking at some storms and rain arriving in through Bloomfield, eventually in Southfield as well. And we are looking at the potential for this to get all the way to the city of Detroit, where the Tigers are currently playing, but they should be wrapping up. Hopefully, I think the game is going to get in and done with before that moves through. All right, a little farther to the south, I just saw something I wanted to note, but I don't see it anymore. I was going to talk about lightning. Looks like most of the lightning strikes. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Okay, so what you can see right here is that this is a lightning strike near Pinckney, but there is no storm cell by it. And I want to point this out because sometimes this can be a fluke on a radar, but this is the third time that I've actually seen this tonight, and this is what we call bolt out of the blue. Now, the sky may not be blue, but that's where it does get its name from. But when you see something like this indicates that there is potential for some lightning away from the storm cell itself. So as you can see here, we've got the lightning just to the south of Pinckney, but the storm is all the way over towards Northfield and Whitmore Lake at this moment. So that's about 10 miles. You can have lightning 10 miles away from a storm, and that's what we're potentially seeing here. And again, I wanted to point this out because this is about the third time I've seen it happen tonight. And so even if you don't have the storms rolling through your area right now, I would seek shelter, especially if you're outside, just because there is the potential. Again, we could have these bolts from the blue even if your sky is gray. So just keeping that in mind. But let's take a look. I'm going to kind of fly around a little more and about these storms. Again, mainly below severe threshold. Biggest threat would be wind gusts near 40 miles per hour. But we're looking at storms now arriving in through Lenawee County. So it's Tecumseh back just to the north of Rollins right now. Cambridge, Franklin, starting to see some of the heavier rain arrive in your region. As we work our way to the north and east, Ann Arbor seeing some heavier rain arriving as we speak. though again, not looking at least the heaviest, which is just to the north of Northfield and south of South Lyon. Kind of ironic with those names. Anyways, we got also rain moving through Northville, Plymouth, eventually over towards Livonia, Redford, obviously arriving now in Southfield. We'll see this eventually get all the way towards the city of Detroit. I want to go farther to the north where we actually have a new severe thunderstorm warning issued here, and I'm actually going to step away for this. That is because we have a severe thunderstorm warning issued until 8:45 for Macomb and St. Clair counties, and the concern are wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. So I'm going to leave this radar up so you're able to see. I'm trying to get everything set. I'm going to go do a quick cut in here, but you're able to see kind of what we've got going on at this moment. Let me mute my mic. Let's see if I All right, so I am back here in studio. Just had to do a quick cut in for the severe thunderstorm warning. But this latest warning, which I will show you guys on my map. Let's see if I can get that direction. All right, so it is for St. Clair County as well as northern Macomb County in southeast Michigan. This warning is for the potential for damaging wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. And it's along this line of storms, as you can see, kind of right here where we're looking at. The storm is moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. So whenever you get a little bit stronger of some wind because of, say, the precipitation going down and the air going out, that could again get the wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, which could lead to some damage out there. Let's see if I can switch this up just a little bit. And we'll take a look at a velocity product. So this takes a look at wind, speed, and direction. So hard to tell here. Let me pause it for a moment. Let me see if I can look at some information. So I'm going to pick this spot here with a brighter pink color. So look at 40 miles per hour velocity. So the red is air moving away from the radar, which is off to the southwest. You can see kind of west of Pontiac where it's originating there. So we are looking at the potential for wind gusts at least around 40 miles per hour. Let's take a look a little farther to the, so okay, that one's 20. Obviously didn't click on the stronger portion of it. Let me see if I can zoom in as well and pick up those brighter, the brighter pink pixels are the ones I'm looking for because that indicates potentially some stronger wind gusts. Let's see, 41. We also got about 43. So yeah, we're seeing at least some wind gusts near 60, or excuse me, not 60, at least near 40 miles per hour. As the storm continues to move east, it does have the potential to still strengthen a bit more. Right now, we are looking at this storm moving through Riley, eventually making its way towards, towards Memphis, and then also even farther off to the east, Fort Gratiot, Birchville, Birchville, down towards Marysville, St. Clair eventually as well. And you can see all the areas that are in the warning at this moment as the storm system continues to move to the east. Now let's take a look at what we got going on. Earlier we had the warnings up through the tip of the thumb. Thankfully, that's quieted down. Everything has moved over into Lake Huron and then farther off to the east. But we are tracking this storm. Again, we've been keeping an eye on it. Brought some steadier rain through Novi, Northville, Plymouth kind of area. Now we're seeing some of the heavier rain associated with this closer through Farmington. Eventually Livonia, we'll start to see it move through. And then we're also seeing some rain as far to the east as Southfield, arriving now in Clawson. Ferndale, you'll eventually get it to Bloomfield Hills, looking at some lighter rain farther to the north. But heavier rain now going through downtown Plymouth, also looking at some rain stretching back in through Canton, and then all the way towards Dixboro and Northfield. Now starting to see things quiet down, just some good news there. So when you get the rain, red here on the map indicates heavier rainfall at this moment. The green, just some lighter rainfall. These storms are moving at about 40 miles per hour, so the window of time for heavy rain is relatively short, but still, again, could lead to some quick ponding on the roadways before eventually the storm moves off to the east. As we track southern Washtenaw County, you can see south of Bridgewater looking at some rain, closer to Milan and also towards Tecumseh. Like you're kind of in between the two in Tecumseh. You got one area just off to the east, the other one off to the west. So the stuff to the west, though, is moving in your direction. I'll put it in motion. You can see it here. So right along M50, that's where we're looking at the heaviest rain. Just about to move out near Cambridge, but it's now moving towards Franklin, Tecumseh, eventually towards Britain and Dundee. Eventually also going to see this and even off towards Monroe if this all holds together. Now this line is a little bit more east to west oriented than the other lines have been, so it's going to take a little bit longer obviously for it to push to the east, but we are going to eventually see some of this rain roll on across the region. Let's backtrack back to again what kind of sparked everything. We had this line start, it was stronger towards the tip of the thumb earlier. For those that are Michiganders, you get it up there towards the tip of the actual thumb in the state of Michigan. We had a severe thunderstorm warning issued first in Sanilac County that expired at 8 o'clock. And then once we got into the later parts this evening, we had one for St. Clair County as well as northern Macomb County, which is in place right now until 8:45. You saw some green pop up here. That is what is called a special marine warning. Obviously, you hopefully don't have any friends that are out boating on either Lake Huron, through Lake St. Clair, or even the Detroit River. Or the St. Clair River as well, because again, these storms are rolling through. Hopefully your friends are not on those boats. But yes, we are looking at some storms rolling through. As you can see, we'll continue to see, again, this area that is now moving through almost to Livonia. At least it's on, I guess, the west side of Livonia. It's going to move across. Livonia, you're so big. So that's like the thing. The city itself is so big. So we are going to see that move there. Eventually over towards Dearborn Heights as well. We'll kind of zoom in a little more. Redford, it's knocking on your door as we speak. But as we zoom in, you can see a couple more cities. Looking at some of the rain. 275, 96 interchange, really getting some of the heaviest rain at this moment. Plymouth, of course, seeing some rain. Canton, back towards Cherry Hill. That's all going to start to pick up within the next 10 minutes. Of some of your heavier rain. We have a lightning back farther off to the west. And if you remember earlier, I was talking about the bolt out of the blue. Thankfully, it doesn't look like we've had any recent lightning strikes, but I've had 3 lightning strikes that have happened this evening, not within a shower or a storm. So there is the potential to see that again. That's what's called out of the blue, or lightning out of the blue, because it can happen when it looks like there's blue sky. We do have a lot of clouds out there, so this would kind of happen when it's not raining, but just know that we've had that. So even if it's not raining in your spot, maybe seek shelter until this narrow line of storms moves through. I'm going to keep my eye on this line. Let's see if we take a look at the velocity product. So again, this is speed and direction with this line right here. I'm going to pause it and see if I can find any. I don't know if I see any. Well, there's a new lightning strike, but I don't see, I don't see any of the bright greens or bright reds, which would indicate a wind gust stronger than 40 miles per hour. So again, down here, not seeing that, but over here where we do have the warning, we see those brighter kind of pink pixels. That is indicating some stronger wind gusts. Let's see if I get some updates on here. Still 40 is mainly what we're seeing. The warning again is saying 60 mile per hour wind gusts. There we got a 45. So potential to get up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts as the storm rolls across the region. Let me take a look at what we've got a little farther to the south. I want to see how strong the storms are through Lenawee County. Okay, this gets a little difficult because the radar, when you get farther from the radar, it's sweeping higher in the storm, so it's harder to actually kind of get some of the wind gusts. I don't even know if I can pick a pixel on here. I'm going to hold off on picking a pixel just because it's too hard to figure out kind of where would be a great representation of the storm. But these are looking at wind gusts. You'll see the change from green. Green is going towards the radar. Red is going away from the radar. Our radar, for those that don't know, in southeast Michigan, is up towards White Lake. So you can see where I've got that little hole there. That's the radar. So it doesn't see anything like right around it, but it sees everything farther around it. So you see the green. Air is coming in from the west. That's where we have the green. Air is going away to the east. That's why we have the red in that direction. But so far, I still just have that warning. For St. Clair as well as northern Macomb County. We're likely going to have the back western part of this get cut off now that the line of storms is pushing farther off to the east. I want to zoom in just a little bit, take a look at what we've got going on. I'm going to actually respond to my director real quick while I'm on here. Oops, I'm also double check on something. Okay. Anyways, so we do have, again, the warning still going on. Tracking this whole line of storms kind of rolling across the region. But yeah, it's a cold front that's coming through. For those of you that, before I get into, more details about these storms, this is a cold front that's coming through, and behind it, it is going to get cooler. Now, for those in southeast Michigan, we have taken a step back this week, right? We had 90s, we had high humidity about a week ago. This week, it's been a little bit cooler. Today, we did climb back up closer to 80 degrees and with slightly higher humidity, but now that this cold front's going to come through, we're not going to see that. It actually is going to taper down just a bit. But tomorrow we'll see highs low to mid 70s. Monday we'll struggle maybe to see 70 degrees. So this cold front comes through, and then around the whole system itself, we're going to continue to pull in some cooler air. Wind's going to pick up just a bit. So yeah, big changes. It's definitely going to feel a lot more like fall, and many kids are heading back to school as we head into next week. So it's going to be more like first day of school, long sleeves. Long pants, maybe? I don't know. At least pants and a t-shirt. I know there's kids that'll wear shorts and t-shirts, but that's just my little side note there about what you can expect. But let's get back into kind of what we got going on. Latest things that we have on this moment. I'll talk about the warning again. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for St. Clair County, where you have the yellow color, northern Macomb County. So Richmond, the storm is just off to your northwest at this hour. We are looking at it arriving through Birchville at this moment. And actually Birchville, that's where we do have the potential for some of the strongest winds. I'm going to stop it again. I'm going to switch the radar to the velocity product, which would show wind gusts. And that's where you saw that 45 mile per hour wind gust. I'm going to take a look, see if I can get one of these pixels that's like, yeah, 46. So for those of you in Birchville, seek shelter until this storm passes. We do have the potential for some damaging wind gusts. The main concern is, again, damaging wind gusts which could cause damage to trees, maybe cause down power lines as well. So if you do live in a house that's by a big tree, make sure that you go into a spot of your house that's the most interior room, lowest level, but also think about maybe farther from the tree as well that could potentially go down if you get a really strong wind gust rolling on through. Most of the wind gusts we're seeing below the severe threshold. I want to note too what you probably just saw there. The severe thunderstorm warning has been cut off on the western part of this here. I'll take off radar real quick. So no longer including other portions of St. Clair County that were previously under the warning. So this is more of a defined line at this hour. So this warning has now been canceled early, but we still have the rest of St. Clair County as well as kind of weird shape of Macomb County still under the severe thunderstorm warning. I'll put on radar and I'll put back on the actual radar that has our precipitation, so you can kind of see. Again, in this case, the dark red indicates some heavy rainfall, and that's the kind of stronger parts of the storm. Not seeing a ton of lightning with these storms rolling on through. They're not very tall, but they are moving through with just enough punch that kind of gets them close to the severe threshold across our region. Lightning, of course, is dangerous too, even if you don't have a severe thunderstorm warning, which many of us do not, that are having the storms rolling on through. You need to seek shelter in a sturdy structure until the storm passes, just because, of course, lightning can be very dangerous. We do have a new cell that kind of just popped up there. You can see south of Lake Orion, moving off to the east. So we are going to start to see this move through the northern part of Auburn Hills, and then eventually off towards Washington. No lightning yet, but it's probably a matter of time. That definitely looks like that'll develop into a thunderstorm. Let's head farther back to the south. I'll pause this. You can take a look where we've got the heavier rain now arriving. You can see right along Grand River that goes all the way in towards the city, looking at Southfield now starting to pick up some of the heavier rain, and then Telegraph. Oh, let me see, where are we? There we go. Sorry. So south, mainly kind of where we cross towards 7 Mile, 6 Mile, a little bit farther south. That's where we're having some heavy rain at this moment. Redford in through 96. Back towards Plymouth, now moving towards Ann Arbor Trail area. That's where we do have some of the heavier rain. If you notice though, I do have lightning still on. There's really no lightning, much of it in this region. So that may indicate some weakening, at least of this cell. But still, heavy rain is most likely happening at this moment. Could have some ponding on 96, eventually towards the Southfield Freeway as we get closer in this direction. For those of you in Dearborn Heights, it's arriving any moment now, mainly especially north of the northern part of the city. Eventually we'll see some of this go through Dearborn and then the city of Detroit too. Now you have this green color here. I know it is including parts of, Grosse Pointe through Detroit. That's actually for the Detroit River. It's a special marine warning. It's pretty much indicating to boaters, we're looking at these storms getting close. Now's the time that you need to go in and you get into your, I don't speak boater terms that well, but get into your safe spot, get off your boat, and then go into a safe spot while these storms arrive. You don't want to be on the water when these come on through. Let's take a look at this line. Again, this line a little bit more east to west. Still a lot of lightning though along it. Northern Lenawee County. So in this region, because the storms are moving west to east, and this line is more kind of linear in an east to west fashion, we're likely to have heavier rainfall totals here. So again, this is including Tecumseh, getting back towards Rollin, as well as farther towards Woodstock, Franklin, Rome. You'll start to see this too. Adrian, also eventually going to see some of this rain, so we'll keep an eye on that, especially with the highways rolling in that region, looking at potential impacts for those traveling out and about late. Thankfully, most of 94 now through Washtenaw County, fairly quiet. Most of US 23 until you get south towards Monroe County, that's when we'll start to see some impacts there. Airport right now looking good. Airport's been hit pretty hard this year with just kind of these cells that sit over it, but right now looking good. Romulus, Belleville, eventually too, and maybe you'll be lucky towards the airport and in that region that will kind of fall right in between this little gap that you kind of see right here. Not going to say it's going to be completely dry, but the steadier storms might stay north, and then the rest of that will stay maybe a little farther to the south. And I only say maybe just because as of right now there's nothing there, but we definitely have ingredients to see more storms kind of pop up as we continue through this evening. So you've got some of the heavier rain south, watching this area moving through northern Wayne County right now. A quick note back off to the west where it was heavier rain, now starting to see things end quite a bit there, but it's picking up now in Redford. It's picking up in Southfield. It is eventually going to impact the Lodge Freeway, I-75 as well. Ferndale starting to see some steadier rain. Let's see how close we can get here. Highland Park starting to see a little yellow spot, orange, that indicates some heavier rainfall. We'll see this come through Hamtramck in the next 10 minutes. It'll be there, but then it'll move through probably within the next about half hour. Again, some bullet points if you're just joining. These storms are moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. Most of the storms are below severe thresholds. We're looking at wind gusts 30 up to 40 miles per hour with the majority of these storms, and some lightning strikes as well. We only have one warning in place right now for a portion of Sanilac County. You can see the yellow here, as well as the northern portion of Macomb County. And these severe thunderstorm warnings are for the potential for wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. We've had a few, at least what I can see on my radar, with gusts near 45, but haven't had any reports yet come in from the surface that we're seeing the gusts near 60. Nonetheless, it's still, again, some stronger wind gusts that can lead to down trees, even especially weak ones, down power lines, especially if a tree falls onto a power line. So seek shelter in the most interior room, lowest level, until these storms pass. I want to stop this again. I keep kind of looking because these warnings are specifically for the fact that we're looking at potential damaging wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. So let's take a look at velocity. The velocity product, again, is speed and direction. So the red is going away from the radar site, which is off towards White Lake. But now it actually looks like we're kind of seeing, I'm going to pick up some of the brighter spots. It's hard to see. That's a 35 mile per hour wind gust. Let me delete that. It's hard to tell what we're seeing near Birchville, 40s. So we're still getting those 40s. Let me take a look a little farther off north of Wales, 32. 40, that was actually just southwest of Wales there. Let's see. This is where I picked the one by M19. This little pixel. I picked that there. So 40, yeah, 40 miles per hour. So still along this line, the potential for those damaging wind gusts. Of course, we'll continue to monitor this line as it moves off to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So yes, the storm's moving at about 40 miles per hour, and it does have the potential to bring wind gusts 40 miles per hour or even stronger. So it does factor in the speed of the storm. There's wind that happens with the storm itself, and then sometimes when you get some of the downward motion because of the rain, or even if it is a down burst, that extra little bit of air that goes down and out can increase that movement of air a little bit more to get to the severe threshold. So again, if the storm's moving at 40 miles per hour and you've got this downward movement and then out once the air hits the ground, that could add enough to maybe make that wind gust 50 miles per hour or 60 miles per hour. So in this case, that's why we do have the severe thunderstorm warning, because there is that potential that we are seeing wind gusts near 60 miles per hour along some portion of this line of storms. Now I'm going to put lightning back on so we're able to see still quite a bit of lightning, put things in a motion to it this storm. It is getting a little bit wider, so indicating that it is developing more. Also, some lightning has picked up quite a bit right about I-69. You can see there. That's indicating also that part of the storm is strengthening a little bit more too. So that's what we're seeing in this region at the moment. So keep an eye on that. Again, if you do live in this region along I-69 towards Port Huron, get into your interior room, lowest level, and then just seek shelter until this storm passes. My advice always is just put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. And honestly, here in Michigan, if you do that, you will be safe from almost everything that we do have happen here in terms of our severe weather, especially when we're talking wind gusts here in this situation with this cell. So keeping an eye again on that severe thunderstorm warning. Let's take a look at that one cell that kind of popped up and now it looks like it's weakening just a bit towards Lake Orion, but don't count it out. still a chance that that could become a little bit stronger and at least be a thunderstorm as it rolls through. The area that's farther to the south, again, we've got rain along I-75, arriving eventually in Hamtramck within the next 5 minutes. Also looking at heavier rain right now. Let's see, I'm sorry, I'm reading where we're at in this whole line of things. So south of Southfield, pretty much looking at some steadier rain, Southfield Road, even also M10 The Lodge, looking at heavier rain just arriving at this moment. Really seeing some of the heaviest rain now. Redford, Livonia, Garden City, Dearborn Heights. It's coming in your direction too. Westland, starting to see it coming heavy at this moment, but it's only going to be a little bit longer. And then behind it, we'll slowly start to see the rain taper down. Canton, looking at some heavy rain too, and then right now where we are looking at 275 where it crosses Michigan Avenue, that's also where we're seeing some of the heavier rain moving through. So that's where we're looking at our next batch. Again, no warning on this part here, but we have the potential for some wind gusts maybe up to 40 miles per hour, which is technically below severe threshold. Farther to the south, got a good line coming through Lenawee County right now. It's struggling to really kind of hold itself together, as you can see here, getting towards Dundee. I mean, it looked stronger, and then it moved into Monroe County and then kind of fizzled out a bit. But we'll still keep an eye on these storms as that line stretches farther off to the west at this moment across the region. So we do, again, have a lot of storms rolling through on this Saturday evening, southeast Michigan. Thankfully, we've kept it mainly below severe threshold for a majority of us, but still keeping an eye on this. Again, severe thunderstorm warning. It is in place until 8:45. It currently is 8:27. So we have about 20 more minutes left on this warning. The green areas you see, those are special marine warnings. That one's till 9:15. Farther to the north, let's see the one for Lake St. Clair and also the St. Clair River. Looking at that one until 9:15 as well. So hopefully, again, no friends are out there on the waterways. It'll probably be rough as they're going, if they're out and about on their boats. But yeah, this cell looks pretty good, pretty strong here coming through Sanilac County, Port Huron. Get ready for, again, the storm to roll through. Damaging wind gusts are possible. One thing I don't see on radar, sometimes we'll see actually kind of a gust front ahead of a line of storms. It's kind of, you can see it on radar, and it's literally just the wind, and then the rain eventually comes 20 minutes later. Not seeing that with these storms. Doesn't mean they're not strong, doesn't mean anything like that, but sometimes we see that the strongest wind gusts tend to be ahead of the storm. Not the case here, where we do have the potential. A lot of lightning strikes north of Columbus, pretty much through Wales right now. Kimball's starting to see the lightning pick up in your region. So looking at Clyde, also heavy rain. Fort Gratiot, the rain is about to arrive. Eventually, if you live anywhere kind of in Sanilac County, expect it all to pick up within about the next 20 minutes with this severe thunderstorm warning again in place. For those of you back farther towards Macomb County, Richmond, back where we are still under the severe thunderstorm warning, this, again, will likely stay in place at least for another 10 minutes, but the line is moving pretty fast, so we may actually see that kind of get chopped off, especially towards Bruce. The warning part of this storm will likely get chopped off by the National Weather Service relatively soon. All right, keeping an eye. So one thing to note here, I want to point out two things. So you can kind of tell. So take a look at this cell. This is looping 30 minutes. And if you notice, it's kind of getting a little bigger. We're also getting a lot more lightning strikes. So this cell is actually strengthening a little bit here in Sanilac County. I don't expect it to strengthen too much more. But then take a look at this cell that is now in northern Wayne County. Now, earlier it had a lot more lightning strikes. Now we've got a couple, so that actually indicates some weakening. You usually need kind of a well-developed storm to produce those lightning strikes. So we're seeing it weakening just a bit. Doesn't mean that it's safe to be outside. Stay inside until these storms pass. But we're going to see some heavy rain roll on through, lightning strikes as well. The wind gusts will likely stay well below the severe threshold as we continue through this evening. Rain is knocking on the door downtown Detroit. We've got some rain up towards Hamtramck. I should look if the Tigers are done. At this point now, you know, with new rules in baseball, they go pretty quickly. Let's see, Detroit Tigers. The game is at 6:40, so let's see. Well, top of the ninth. Oh man, they're getting close. Top of the ninth. Tigers are up 4-2, in case anyone's wondering. So they could wrap it up. We'll see. So they've got, yeah, this game started, I think, at 6:40 tonight, right? That's when our Saturday games usually start. So let's hope they get it in, because they probably have about, let's see, this is moving at 40 miles an hour. Let's pause it here. take this. This is set for about, I don't know if I want to include that part. Let me awkwardly draw a line here. Yes, that's me drawing that. And let's kind of get it. This is a terrible line. Let's see. Detroit, 8:44. So that would be in 15 minutes. They have 15 minutes to wrap up this game. So we'll see. Oh, wait. Let's see. Are we now? I don't know. I don't know what has happened. Now it doesn't even say top or bottom. Does that mean it's final? No. They called the game? I should pay attention more. But anyways, so that's what we're looking at with this line. Again, this area that's moving through Wayne County technically is not severe, but it does have some heavy rain associated with it, some lightning still. We're seeing some of the heaviest rain arrive through Dearborn at this moment, up towards Redford, Garden City, and then back looking at some of the heavier rain just to the west of Wayne. So you'll start to see that pick up. Airport, still looking good. Just pointing it out again because it's had a rough little bit. Let's take a look at this cell towards Lenawee, near Newburgh, Tecumseh, Ridgeway. Starting to see some heavy, heavy rain. Rome, Rollin, looking at that moving through. Adrian, you'll eventually see this come through. But again, this line is moving a little more. It's moving west to east, but it's a little bit more on a west to east kind of line. So we're not kind of seeing that roll through. We'll see some heavier rainfall totals up here. Maybe a couple places up to about ½ inch of rain. These storms aren't, the atmosphere isn't as juicy as what we've had with some of the other storms that have come through this year. So I don't expect the totals to be off the charts, but still could be looking at some heavier amounts. All right, still have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for St. Clair County and then northern Macomb County at this moment. I always like to take a look again at the winds, but I want to point out this part right here of the storm. As I pause it, we don't have any major towns, Kimball, Smith Creek, looking at some of the heaviest. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm so sorry. And I'm from this state, but Wadhams? I'm probably mispronouncing that. Starting to see it pick up. Fort Gratiot for sure out towards Lake Huron, really seeing the heavy rain. But for those of you in Birchville, it's thankfully starting to calm down. Port Huron, it is just going to be knocking on your door. If friends are watching in Sarnia, it'll also be in your area in just a little bit. Marysville, South Park, St. Clair eventually will start to see the heavier rain arrive. Adair, China, East China also eventually starting to see, they'll see that line come through, but actually maybe not even Marine City based on the trajectory of these storms. So we are seeing a little bit of some building on the southern edge towards Richmond of some of the heavier rain. Let's see, Lake Orion, that's kind of becoming a little more, so maybe we'll see actually some connection with this full line here. So you're not necessarily out of it for those in Macomb or New Baltimore, and then eventually all the way towards Algonac, but we'll eventually look at some rain move through, but it probably won't be severe in threshold. All right, so giving an eye on the city of Detroit, even all the way towards Grosse Pointe, all the Grosse Pointes, St. Clair Shores, you'll see some rain. Rain is arriving in Warren, Hamtramck, too. Eventually we'll see it through Roseville and East Point, but right now it's looking at mainly rain for you. Also just seeing mainly rain up towards Royal Oak, Clawson, Ferndale, Southfield. Thankfully ending now in Bloomfield, Bloomfield Hills, Troy. Not much rain. You're not probably going to see much rain now that that batch is pretty much passed to your south. We'll keep an eye on any more development on that line that's kind of right by Pontiac, north of Pontiac at this moment. And we'll go again farther to the south, maybe Dundee, seeing some of the rain rolling through, but seeing a little bit more strengthening here. I'll keep an eye on this. If you notice, we were talking about kind of some indications of a stronger storm. More lightning indicates a more developed storm, so we're starting to see more of that through Lenawee County. We'll keep an eye. I don't expect this to become severe. Mainly, the biggest concern has been the wind gusts, damaging wind gust possibilities. And you know, so this is really hard because this is sitting like due south of the radar, so when it's moving from west to east, it's really hard to figure out, you know, what the speed is of the wind, because green is going towards radar, red's going away, but if it's going parallel to the radar sweep, well, I guess in this case it would be moving perpendicular to the radar sweep, so it's hard to figure out kind of what is actually going on there in terms of wind speed. All right, through the city, I want to take a look. Okay, let's take a look at some of these wind speeds. 30 miles per hour. Yeah, this indicates, yeah, this is why we haven't had a warning on this storm south through Wayne County. Winds are below the severe threshold. Still going to look at a good gust, still going to look at some heavy downpours, still going to look at lightning strikes, so you should seek shelter until the storms pass. But as of right now, all below severe threshold. Let's travel farther to the north where we do still have the warning going on. I'm going to take off the lightning here, see if we can find some of the brighter pixels. So not as bright as what we were seeing earlier. That one's indicating 40. I did pick the brightest pixel up there just to the northwest of Kimball, but 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts at this moment. So National Weather Service is probably going to let this warning, I think, ride. It'll be interesting to see if they do extend it, but they'll let it play out until 8:45 as of right now. Yeah, I don't see any reports of it being extended. So that will likely be the case, but of course, that is the National Weather Service's choice on whatever they're going to do for that warning. But still a strong storm. Doesn't matter if the warning doesn't continue, isn't extended, but it's still pretty good as it continues to move now, impacting almost to I-94 from Port Huron, working your way south towards the rest of the Metro Detroit region. But looking at, again, the strongest part of the storm moving through Kimball at this hour, and then up towards Fort Gratiot, we've got some heavier rain in that region. As we zoom out, you can kind of see this line. It's a broken line of storms rolling through, and this is part of right out of a cold front. I'll put the winds on there. You can actually see the change of winds. So I'll point this out. We've got winds here and through Canada coming in from the west southwest, right? So this is ahead of the front, the winds that are moving this way. And then behind, we've got winds out of the west northwest. So the cold front is pretty much right where these storms are. We're not going to see a drastic drop in temperatures. We're not talking about highs near 50. You know, sometimes we get those spring cold fronts that come through and it's like 80 to 50. We're not going to see that, but our temperatures will be cooler behind these storms as we get into tomorrow. Highs are going to be more so low to mid 70s rather than near 80 like we saw today. And then on Monday, our highs are going to be close to 70. There'll be a few of us that make it there, but not everyone's going to see 70 on Monday. So welcome to fall, right? Fall doesn't officially start for about another month, but just kind of pointing that out. All right, if you're just joining me, I'm here in Southeast Michigan. My name is Marissa. I am a meteorologist at WXYZ 7 News Detroit. And we're here just tracking some storms. We have one set of severe thunderstorm warning here through part of St. Clair County, northern Macomb County as well. And this goes until 8:45. So we have just under 10 minutes left, maybe about 7 minutes left of this warning. The concern would be wind gusts, damaging wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. So it is just arriving in through downtown Port Huron, impacting the bridge there, the Blue Water Bridge. Also looking at some of the heavier rain up towards Fort Gratiot. Again, Birchville's starting to see it kind of taper down slowly, obviously, but definitely off towards Worth and Lexington. You're done with the storms rolling through. Farther to the south and west, Kimball, Smiths Creek, starting to, again, still have the heavy rain. You're right in it right now, but that's going to start to end. Columbus, heavier rain too. Memphis, you're at the very edge of the final bit of rain and storms. That's going to eventually end within about the next 15 minutes. Also farther to the west, looking at some heavier rain, but the warning still in place for Macomb County. That's probably likely the first spot that will definitely have it dropped once the storm moves off to the east. But we've also had a little bit more development here towards Rochester, Auburn Hills. No lightning yet, but it's definitely a little bit stronger that it will likely develop into a thunderstorm, bringing the lightning with it. All right, some rain now south of M59, but not much going on through southern Macomb County aside from rain. And then also part of Oakland County, looking at mainly just some rain, or very southeastern corner of Oakland County. Wayne County, though, I mean, we've got the storm rolling in close to the city of Detroit. I should look. I wonder if I was just talking about the Tigers, but let's take a look at what they are doing. I don't know. See, you know, I should know. I should. Let's see. Unless they just called it. If you know, let me know. Final. Yep, so final. Tigers are done. Woohoo! Got it in before this area comes through. Not much lightning with it. There are a couple lightning strikes. You can see south, the southern part of Dearborn Heights. That's where we're looking at some of still some lightning strikes. So about Michigan Avenue, Outer Drive, where we're going in through Southfield Freeway. That area, looking at some heavier rain rolling through at this moment. Again, another special marine warning, so thankfully that's not too concerning for a majority of us. And again, hopefully you don't have friends out on the river or the lakes at this moment. Inkster, heavy rain pretty much all along Michigan Avenue back, but eventually it calms down when you get towards Wayne and Sheldon. The airport, Wonder what they're doing now with planes. It wouldn't be, I always like to look at this. Anyone else look at planes and see what they're doing? Let me take a look at what they're doing with because the flight pattern based on the winds, they would be landing, they'd have to turn before that storm. They'd be landing in from the northeast based on the winds. But with that storm, that could always impact some stuff. They might pause stuff. But at the same time, planes can make some tight turns. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at an app on my phone that tracks airplanes. Okay. Okay, so there's not many planes flying, I guess. Well, a plane just landed from Paris. So that made it. Let's see what this one's doing. Oh, okay, yeah. So it looks like there was a plane from Vancouver, Canada, has been, I think they were letting that storm pass. The winds are going to change, so it looks like it's done a little, it hasn't landed yet. So I'm wondering if they're kind of changing the course, because with the winds changing, again, talking about the winds, planes land into the wind. So ahead of these storms, winds are out of the southwest. Winds are eventually going to be out of the northwest. So that might actually change the pattern of landing at Detroit Metro. So we'll keep an eye on that. Looks like it's maybe doing another little loop or something. Again, just looking at my radar app, what we've got going on. Planes are still taking off, so that's always good too. They take off into the wind, and it's pretty clear south of the airport, so not too bad. Okay, let's see what we got going on. We are approaching the end of this warning time on this severe thunderstorm warning. Really, though, looking at the heaviest of the rain coming through Port Huron at this moment. Let me switch this radar to do velocity, which will show us wind speeds. Yeah, you know, there are some still little bright little, I'm going to click that one. That's probably 40, 45. Okay, 43. Click this one a little farther to the south along 94. 41. Yeah, so mainly that's what we've been seeing with this storm. Velocity at least showing wind speeds around 40 miles per hour. Again, velocity is wind speed and direction. So this is moving away from the radar site. That's why it's the red color here. That doesn't mean it's any more severe than the green. It's just we're looking at wind moving or air moving away from the radar site. This is where you do have the warning, excuse me, farther off to the south. It's so hard again. That radar's sweeping pretty high over that direction. Let's see what we got going through this little cell through the city. This is why, again, this one is probably not going to see a warning. I'll click the brightest color I see, which is kind of south of Dearborn, 32 miles per hour. That is below severe threshold, so that's why we're seeing no warning issued on the storm that is in Wayne County at this moment. Let's take a look. Let me clear what we got off. Okay. Now let's zoom out. Again, got this line rolling on through. I'll put things into motion. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that's in place for St. Clair as well as Macomb County. This is supposed to expire in the next minute, so we'll see if that pops off the screen. I'll take a check and see if they've extended it though. Yeah, still says 8:45, so. So again, that should pop off of the screen. And then we have this area coming through, mainly northern Wayne County. So for those of you in Grosse Pointe, if I could speak Harper Woods, you'll start to see the rain pick up. Hamtramck starting to see the rain pick up too. Not many lightning strikes, but there definitely are some lightning strikes. So you want to stay inside until the storm passes. Dearborn, the heaviest rain coming through at this moment. We got it through Greenfield Village. Oh, let's see. Is it on my map? There we go. Oh yeah, right through Greenfield Village. What am I saying? So yeah, looking at some of the heaviest rain coming through there right now, and then back a little bit farther just to the west of the Southfield Freeway near Inkster, Sunnyside, starting to see some of that heavier rain end for you, or will end, excuse me, within about the next 10 to 15 minutes. Still keep an eye on this like slow progression of this area that is the northern part of Lenawee County, just based on this, and we're really not seeing. It's slowly moving to the east, and then also not much is making it in through Monroe at this moment. Just probably some cooler air in place, kind of eating up the storms thanks to, you know, the lake being so close. And that's kind of keeping more of a stable environment in most of Monroe County, but doesn't mean you're not going to see storms, so keep that in mind. It's definitely still a possibility as we continue through the rest of this evening. All right. What else do we got going on here at this moment? Let's see. Oh, well, we got our latest update on that warning. So yes, so they did not extend the warning for this line of storms. that is really bringing some heavy rain through Port Huron right now. You can see, for those of you south of Lapeer Road, 24th Street, heavy rain coming through at the moment, but it will eventually let up. These storms are moving at 40 miles per hour, so it's moving in. It'll move out quicker. Oh, and I got another ding there, so let me see what this is for us. They might have just extended something. Let's see what pops up on my... I might have to go do another cut in real quick. Come on. Nope. Come on, app. I'm waiting to see. So if you heard the noise, so I have a thing that notifies when we do have a warning issued, but my other apps lag on when and where this stuff is issued. So let's see what we've got going on. You've got special marine statements. Special marine warning, is that what we just switched that to? All right, well, wait to see if I have anything else pop up, but right now I'm only seeing those special marine warnings. I'm trying to see if I see anything else on any of my other, no. Okay, so still tracking the storms kind of coming on through. Must have just been an extension on the special marine warning. I can look somewhere else. Let me put this full screen. Oh goodness, so you're able to see. What was I gonna do? Okay, full screen so you can kind of continue to track those storms. Let me see if I can look at one more thing. What's that one? Okay. So now here we rolling back over. So again, I heard that alarm, was trying to figure it out, and it was actually just a notification that they were going to expire the severe thunderstorm warning that they did have in place for St. Clair County as well as Macomb County at 8:45. So they weren't going to extend it. That's what that notification was. But we're still tracking the storms. The storms are still coming through. We are looking at a good line almost through Port Huron. Sarnia, you're really seeing some of the heaviest rain now. St. Clair expects some of the heavy rain to move through. Richmond also starting to see more of the heavy rain. Columbus, heavy rain at this moment. And then eventually a little bit farther off to the west towards Washington, looking at some heavier rain arriving, but not as many lightning strikes. Again, we were talking about that, indicating maybe some weakening going on. Even here, even though we're still going to have heavy rain, not as much of a cluster as we had earlier with the lightning strikes. If you're wondering what the difference is in the colors here, the white lightning is the most recent. It's happened within the last 5 minutes. It gets grayer as it gets closer to 10 and then 15 minutes ago. Though this area kind of seen a few more lightning strikes near Dearborn, Melvindale, we're starting to see some of the heavier rain come through. So maybe some heavier downpours, a few more lightning strikes. Let's see if we got any wind gusts along this. I don't expect much, but let's see. Again, switching to the velocity product, yeah, I don't see any bright pink colors. And that would be within this red. The brighter pink that you would see would be indicating some wind gusts. So it's not necessarily it's not like these outliers that you're seeing here. Those are just kind of noise. But over here, I would expect to see some brighter pink if I was worried necessarily about the damaging wind gusts that we could have. But again, it's not looking like that. Most of the winds, I bet you, are closer to like 30 miles per hour max. Let's see what we got. 34. So yeah, as we're looking at a little farther off to the west, 32. Yeah. So I've tried to pick the brighter colors there, and that's what we're seeing in that region. All righty. So let me take some of this stuff off so it's a little bit easier to see. and put it into motion. So this is just a 30-minute loop. Looking at the heaviest rain now arriving through the city of Detroit, Dearborn, down towards Lincoln Park. Looking at some heavier rain at this moment, but not expecting anything to be severe, at least in this cluster in Wayne County. We have the earlier warning north. Let's head south again. Keeping an eye on this. A lot of lightning with it. It's now just about to move through Tecumseh. I should look at, let me see if I can see some rainfall totals in this region. Let me look at my other kind of source. Oops. Because this area has had more of the rain consistently fall. Let's see, 3-hour loop of precipitation. Let me zoom in. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so there is a weather station that's by Clinton that says it's had 2/3 of an inch of rain, just shy of 3/4. There is another station, this is over in Hillsdale County near Jerome, had a 1/2 inch of rain. So for those of you in Lenawee County here, Adrian, this is where we're looking at potentially about a 1/2 inch of rain. Now that's not necessarily going to lead to flooding, but it could lead to at least some ponding on the roadways and maybe some minor flooding. So Lenawee County, because of the storm movement from west to east, and then like the line of storms also mainly associated west to east rather than on an angle, we're seeing rain fall over the same spot. So this is where we'll look at the heavier rainfall and potential up to about a 1/2 inch, maybe a little more, up to 3/4 of an inch through this evening as it continues to roll on through. So we've got kind of 3 clusters still in our region. Behind it, nothing there. Let's see if I can add some clouds. It's hard to see clouds at this part of the day. We should get clearing after it. This is just, so we do have some clouds there, but we should have a nice sunset. Some people are probably already seeing it. But yeah, calmer weather behind it. This is just, it's a cold front. We're not the only ones seeing the rain. I'll add on bigger radar. So you can see there's a lot more rain across the whole region. The low is actually set well to our north in Canada. So we're going to continue to see air wrap around that low, and that's eventually going to move in and bring us some cooler temperatures behind a cold front. Let's take a look at winds right now, because we were just talking about that, and this is why I can tell you it's a cold front, because you can see those little white lines kind of going through. So we have air ahead of the storms, mainly out of the west-southwest. So we're in the warm sector of this storm, but then behind the storms we do have winds out of the west-northwest. So we have a cold front that's pretty much right where these storms are firing. And I want to point this out again, because you know what? I'm seeing it again. I've pointed out that we've had 3 lightning strikes that are not associated with the storm. And take a look at this. Sorry, let me take off the winds. And I'll pause this. So again, gray, meaning it happened a little bit ago, but if it's went slower, that lightning strike over there by 96, 275, that happened once the storm was passed. So we are seeing that there. And then also, I just saw this a little farther off. Take a look at this. Does anyone see a storm anywhere? You can see that lightning strike just near. So that's what we call a bolt out of the blue. So we've got some energy out there. Again, so if you don't have the storms rolling through your specific spot, it doesn't mean that you are looking at safety necessarily. So seek shelter until these storms pass. I'm going to take a quick phone call. Let me see if I can. I'll switch it over in just like 20 seconds. I didn't realize it was already 9 o'clock. Yes, okay, I will put it in there and I will just have it looping continuously. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, sorry. Coming back, coming back. All right. So that's what we got going on still. Put myself back on here. Just getting stuff ready for our shows that we have later on Channel 7. Got about an hour until, well, that's on TV 20, and Channel 7's at 11 o'clock. So again, still tracking these line of storms as they roll on through. Heavier rain south of Port Huron back towards Macomb now. So yes, you're not, again, out of the woods. You are going to see some of the rain at least roll through. Not much lightning though. I'm looking at city of Detroit right now. Yeah, really seeing some of the heavy rain. Let's see if I can get a view. Oh, I don't think our camera goes into this one. Let's see real quick. Nope. Okay. No camera. Just don't pretend that did not happen. But let's get back to where we are. Okay. Back into our normal radar. So 3 kind of clusters. One still coming through St. Clair and Macomb County. And then the other cluster through the city of Detroit, eventually arriving. It's arriving in Windsor as we speak. We'll see that continue to move off to the east. And then this area where the biggest concern, I think, down here would be some heavier rainfall amounts. Don't expect a lot of flooding, terrible or anything like that, but we do have that going on. Continuing to roll through. I don't expect any additional warnings. Just based on, especially the movement of these storms, I mean, they're not moving fast, and then so any wind gusts along them wouldn't push them up to that severe threshold. This storm also don't expect a warning on it, but heavy rain not out of the question through Dearborn, Detroit right now, down towards Lincoln Park, of course the Detroit River, eventually farther to the south, maybe for those of you that live kind of anywhere, if you're following in Canada, you might be also seeing some of this, but heavier rain rolling through, lightning strikes as well. So don't expect it to be severe, but it's just a good thunderstorm to round out this Saturday night. Farther to the north, also don't expect this to gain any strength for severe. The strongest we had now is over towards Canada, where we had some of the stronger wind gusts earlier, but right now not really seeing that. Let's take one more look on some of the velocity products that we've got going on. So again, this is like wind speed. Pause this, take off the lightning. You still got some of that brighter pink south of Port Huron. This is mainly in towards Canada. Sorry, I don't know the kilometers per hour, but 47 miles per hour. So was that roughly like 60 kilometers per hour? If anyone's watching in there. But yeah, otherwise not much bright pink. Again, that other bright pink you're seeing in this spot, that's just kind of just noise. It's just not very clean. Through the city of Detroit. Let's see. I think we're seeing some of the brightest. Sorry, hard to see. It's kind of here. 32 miles per hour. So not too bad. And then yeah, it's not even worth looking at the wind down in this direction. But again, tracking some storms here on this Saturday night through the city of Detroit. Looking at a cold front coming through, which is sparking these storms. No severe thunderstorm warnings in place as of about 9 o'clock. We are going to start to see everything kind of get quieter tonight. Cooler temperatures tomorrow. There is a slight chance for a few spotty afternoon showers. Honestly, they might just be sprinkles, which means, you know, nothing. I'm not expecting anything, not even anything like today. It's going to be cooler, highs in the low 70s. Monday will struggle to make it to 70 degrees, though a few of us will. We'll also have a few afternoon showers on Monday. Very spotty again, very light, not expecting anything bad. We get into the middle part of the week, it's quiet. We'll still be staying in the low to mid 70s this entire week. So that's pretty crazy. Quite a bit different than what we've had. And then next weekend, as of right now, I'm keeping my eye on a chance for, we have a front coming through. And the question is the high going to be strong enough to prevent the front from coming in on Thursday? Or is it going to break down and is the front going to come in on Thursday and then lead to a drier Friday? So we've got some things going on. College football starts this upcoming weekend. Friday, Michigan State is home against Western. And then we've got Michigan home on Saturday. So Saturday's looking dry. I don't think it's going to see the front come through. It's just that Michigan State game on Friday. If the front comes through Thursday, it'd be better. Friday will be better. If the high pressure stays in control a bit longer, Friday may be a little bit rainier. Or still plenty of days away that I expect obviously everything to kind of mellow out a little more. Right now, we'll see the time frame wobble quite a bit, but keeping an eye on that. Can't believe college football's here, but it's going to feel like college football time with the cooler temperatures. So low to mid 70s are expected again this entire upcoming week. I'm going to look one more time at our radar going through our whole region. And then I'm going to sign off for tonight. You guys are more than welcome to join me on TV 20 in Detroit at 10 o'clock tonight for your latest forecast, or WXYZ or 7 News Detroit at 11 o'clock tonight, giving you some live weather, current conditions. We probably won't have any storms anymore, but I'll have a look at tomorrow's weather in more detail as well as the rest of the week. But still looking at a couple more showers and storms. Let me add back on some of the lightning. So still quite a bit of lightning out there tonight. Once the storms roll through, it becomes a bit quieter across the region. I do expect a quiet overnight and then a brighter start to your Sunday with temperatures mainly in the low to mid 50s. We'll put it at that. So I'm going to sign off. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and I'll continue to keep you posted. Again, tune in tonight at 10 on TV 20 or at 11 on 7 News Detroit. Have a good night, everyone.